Would you agree that divorce sucks, right? But you know who divorce is really bad on? Do you know who it really hurts the most? The kids. And that's what I want to talk about today in this video with you. I want to talk about 4 things. The 4 things you can do to help kids deal with divorce. Check it out. Hi, I'm Brett, your favorite shrink, and welcome back. Welcome back to My 5 Minds. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. You know, I always like to tell stories. Well, today I want to talk a little bit about my story because when I was 5 years old, and I remember this one situation where my parents were fighting, and I think I was standing in the living room, and I could see them in the hallway between the kitchen and the dining room, fighting, yelling about something. I'm just a little kid. I have no idea what they're fighting about. So I think I'm gonna help, right? So what I try to do is I come up and I get myself in the middle between them. And I kind of stand there and I say, hey, guys, knock it off. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I do remember what their reaction was. Their reaction was, both of them, bam, came down on me. And there I was, feeling like the bad guy, feeling like I had done something wrong when all I was trying to do was help. And I didn't know how to help. Well, that's the metaphor. That's the story we want to focus on as we look at divorce and helping kids with divorce. Because the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to get the kids in the middle, yes, but we also don't want them to feel bad if they're trying to help or if they're trying to understand or whatever they're doing, because that's putting them in the middle too. Let's talk about the 4 things to help kids with divorce. The first thing I want you to think about is when a kid doesn't understand something, when there's the unknown, there's a void. And that void itself creates a huge amount of anxiety. So a lot of times, the first thing we do wrong in trying to help kids through divorce is we underinform. And in underinforming, we create more of a mystery. And we leave them even in a greater state of anxiety because they don't know what's happening. And because they don't know what's happening, it feels like their life is out of control. And it is, because this divorce isn't their idea, isn't what they wanted. But here they are in the middle of it. And we want to keep them safe. So first thing we got to do is we got to tell them what's going on. Now, there's a balance to that. And that kind of goes along with the second thing that we don't want to do in our divorce is we want to inform. We want to let them know what's going on, but we don't want to over-inform. We don't want to talk too much about what's going on. And that's the second thing. We'll get to that in a minute. The first thing we want to do is we want to explain what's happening. And I would suggest the more you guys can explain what's happening together, even though you guys are getting divorced, the better it's going to be. The more they can see you guys bringing up issues, talking about issues, bringing out what's going on, but in a way that's not, he said, she said, he did, they did, the better you're going to be. So let me give you a couple examples of that. Hey, kids, your mom, dad, and I, we're not getting along. We don't see things the same. We're having trouble. We're having trouble living together without fighting, without conflict. And maybe even you guys have seen a lot of the fighting. And so what we need to do is we need to separate so we don't fight so much. So we don't get to a place of hating each other. Now, what I tried to do is I tried to say we. I tried to talk about the circumstance. I tried to avoid that second thing that we don't want to do, which is the blame game. Most marriages are stuck in the blame game. And that is why the communication is falling apart. That's why you guys aren't able to talk about your issues. It's because you're talking about good guys and bad guys. And where there's a good guy, there's going to be a bad guy. And you're going to have this kind of who's right and who's wrong thing going on. Okay, that is what it is for you guys. And that's probably, I'm going to bet, the core of why you guys aren't getting along. But that can't be what's going on for the kids. And that can't be what your focus is with the kids. When you're talking with the kids, we need to take it into the neutral terms, into the generic, nondescript, non-blaming, non-attacking terms. And I know that's going to be hard when you're in the blame game, but that's what's going to be best for the kids. Let me tell you another story. I remember it was already after my parents divorced, and there's the divorce doesn't end with the paperwork. The divorce goes on forever with the kids. And so I remember we were doing visitations with mom and dad and splitting things up, and grandma was picking us up, and grandma was taking us to mom's. I live with my dad, so grandma taking us to mom's, that was kind of a normal thing. And I remember whenever grandmother would talk about dad, and she would say anything negative about him, anything. I don't even remember the details of it, but I just remember when there was a tone that she was unhappy with my dad, and I was hearing about that unhappiness, what it made me do was not feel bad towards my dad in terms of hating him or not liking him or being upset with him. What it made me do is not like my grandma. It made me not like whoever it was that was talking bad about the other person. And so that's my warning in number 2. When you talk bad about the other person, it's going to reflect on you. It's going to come back to you. It's going to make you look like the bad guy, not the other person. All right, tip number 3. This is a really important thing. When helping kids through divorce, I just talked about how to talk to them. And now, these next 2 tips, 3 and 4, are going to focus on listening and how to listen, because that's really probably equally important, if not more important, to hear the kids and to hear them talk about what's going on for them. Most of the time, we don't think of our kids as having opinions. Most of the time, we don't think about our kids needing to express their feelings because we're so knee-deep in our feelings. But that, in a divorce situation, is really, really important. Spend time listening, asking questions. And in our last tip, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in detail, help them. Help them be able to talk about what they're feeling, because they're not going to know what they're feeling. So let's look at the first part first, how to listen to kids. Now, in listening to kids, what you're going to see is it's going to take a little bit of prompting and probably a little bit of time. First thing I want you to do is set up the right situation. Probably isn't the right situation, where you're sitting one-on-one with them, you're kind of in their face, kind of deep in their stuff. That's probably not going to work very well. Probably better would be do something. Make cookies, go on a walk, feed the fish, or feed the ducks at the park. But engage in some kind of activity. And as you're engaging in that activity, maybe even driving, you can ask easy questions. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What do you think? What do you think about what's happening? And by setting up this kind of nice environment where energy is being spent, where things are being done and engaged, you're going to get better answers, easier answers. Don't stick with the first answer. Find, push, and probe. Not in a hard way, but in an easy way. That's our 4th tip. Let me teach you a little bit how to do that. I need you to play therapist a little bit with me. I need you to play therapist with them. I need you to see if you can help them express their feelings, because they're not going to know. They're going to be feeling confused, angry, hurt, and scared. And they're not going to know how to express those feelings. So a little bit of prompting from you would be very appropriate. And again, let me give you an example of what that would look like. A little bit of prompting would be, how are you feeling? I don't know. Okay. Gosh, if I was going through divorce, or I remember when my parents were going through divorce, whatever the scenario, it was hard. I remember feeling scared. Do you ever feel scared? Make those kind of prompts. Help them begin to put words to their feelings, because they're not going to know the words. They're not going to know what exactly to say, because it's hard. It's hard for them to understand your feelings. Be a little bit of a therapist. When you see them acting out, when you see them angry with their siblings, or angry at a situation that doesn't seem to warrant that anger, about mom and dad getting divorced. That would be normal. That would be okay. Do you ever get mad about that? And by making those little prompts, what you're doing is you're helping them find the words. Find the words for what's hard for them to express. Now, I hope you like this video. If you did, like it. And if you want to learn more about system psychology, you want to learn about how to better your life or better the lives of those around you, subscribe. I'm Brett, your favorite shrink. Check my site out, brettrwilliams.com. And I hope to hear and see you more.